What is going on, guys? Just going to take a second before our video to remind you about the giveaway that is going on right now. Yes, right now, at the time of the posting of this video. So just one more time, it is ending on November 5th, which is next Monday if you're watching this video at the time of release. I'm going to leave a link in the description below for a last video. Again, remember the rules. You have to watch through the video. There are 2 questions I'm going to ask you, and you must leave in your comment below the answer to those 2 questions. Make sure that you subscribe and like the videos. You will have last video as a chance, this video as a chance, and the video on Friday as a chance. So now, without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright guys, so taking your feedback, as always, people have been asking for a kind of condensed list of all of the skill that goes into high level play, and this video what we're going to be doing is kind of listing them off and going through them one by one. So if you're still stuck on the whole sidestep thing being nerfed being the reason why you can't get to rank 50, get good, buddy. No, I'm kidding. Of everybody, but hopefully this list does help you and everybody else kind of play a bit more of a complete game, right? So let's just off right here. So the first thing we're going to look at are card cancels. Which means just canceling directly out of the card before anything actually happens. We have animation cancels regarding sidestep. So sidestep is still a thing. Animation cancels using the rising rush, the delay in your inputs, and we're going to talk about inputs kind of in detail here. We're going to talk about overpowering your opponent with blue cards and outplaying them with blue cards. We're also going to take a look at type advantage, not getting baited or baiting your opponent, and using your kit efficiently. Now, all of these things happen every single match. If you're not using all of these in every single one of your matches, then guess what? That's most likely why you're getting outplayed when you get to higher levels of play, because people do these things without even kind of thinking about it, right? So the first thing we're going to look at is our card cancels. Now, if you are using a strike card and you tap it and you immediately dash to the right or to the left, then you will cancel that card. Plain and simple. What is the use of doing this? The use of doing this is that you're going to A, get your Dragon Ball because you used the card. Number 2, it's going to also bait your opponent. They sometimes vanish really early, so you can actually bait them out this way. At worst, you're going to make them uneasy because you're being very unpredictable at this point. They don't know what you have in your hand anymore. They know that you're getting your key back because when you dash out of it, your key kind of comes back very quickly. So this is a great mind game to play with people. The second thing is the actual sidestep animation. Now, if you still don't know how to do this, you're going to go in, hit him, and right towards the end of the animation, you're going to use an input. Now, before I explain this further, I'm going to explain what an input is. If you're not familiar with fighting games, inputs are when you're putting in, for example, pressing a button, and it kind of queues up an attack before the other attack is completed. So in this game, the way it works is when you're using, for example, your strike, what you want to do is towards the end of the strike, you're going to dash forward and then to the right or to the left. So the way the game sees this is it takes the first dash forward as your follow-up action. This is where you don't get any key, you don't get any of the benefits of using the sidestep, right? So if you were to just dash right after your attack, instead of dashing forward first, you wouldn't get anything out of it. Now, if you do the dash forward and then the dash right portion is canceling the dash forward, which canceled your attack. So this is all kind of one fluid movement, but the second dash is what ends up confusing the game and getting your key back. It helps regain cards, it helps regain your vanish meter, your switch meter. You know, there's all kinds of benefits to it. Now, a lot of these were nerfed, obviously, because they're just overpowered, right? Now, what you're getting out of it is a bit of key, which comes down to math. And the reason why I say that you should sidestep all the time, even after the nerf, is because if you are going to be using your entire hand, there are going to be several moments where you're not going to have 100 key. There are a lot more neutral screens, but even if you were to get, for example, to 80 something key, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can use all 4 cards in your hand. So now using that sidestep will give you 3 to 6 maybe maximum key per sidestep. That will fill or do the equivalent of filling your key bar, which means that you'll be able to use your entire hand throughout the match. If you gained, you know, something like 200 key over the length of an entire match, then that's 2 full bars of attacks that you use that your opponent didn't if he's not sidestepping. So these things matter. Our next point here will be animation cancels. Now, the animation cancels on Rising Rush is exactly what I showed you actually in the first video towards the end, and I'll run that clip again. But essentially what you're doing is you're using your Rising Rush with the possibility or the intention of missing it. So generally this will be used to close out a match where you just don't want the opponent to have any kind of counterplay. You Rising Rush, they vanish it, but as they're vanished, you already have your strike card queued up. So essentially you start swinging at them before they even appear again, and there's no counterplay to it, they just die. It's as simple as that. It's a simple trick, but so effective in closing out those matches and not letting these comeback mechanics, you know, Gogeta, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, Bardock, all these people. I'll talk about Bardock in a future video actually, but it helps to avoid those situations where you're just looking to close out the match and secure your victory. You know, you want them to dash your Rising Rush so that you don't have to do the whole, you know, coin flip of who's going to pick the right card. Now, the next thing on our list is the delay of inputs. So this, for example, means delaying your dash when you think that you're going to need to vanish. So for example, if you make your opponent vanish and he's been, you know, just sitting there waiting for you to vanish and then hitting you, then you may want to delay it. By contrast, if you vanish first, you may not want to attack right away because then he'll just vanish as well, right? If you delay it and have him vanish first and you attack him during that animation, he cannot vanish. So delays and inputs are going to be your bread and butter, and you know, I guess your main mind game. And I'm just going to kind of fit in a little question here. So question number 1 will be, what is your favorite move that you use to outplay people? Is it delaying your dash? Is it the Rising Rush cancel? Is it the animation cancels? What has won you the most games? What move do you love the most to outplay your opponents with? Now, overpowering people with your blue cards or outplaying, I'll run a clip here of what I do here, where I intentionally put maximum distance between me and my opponent, and I wait until his arm goes up. Now, it didn't matter what attack he was about to use. He had no way of beating me on this play because this was the first time I was using it. He didn't know to expect it, right? So as soon as his arm goes up, I end up blasting him here with the final flash, and there's absolutely nothing he can do about it because the final flash, specifically that animation, is instant. So, you know, you have the whole, oh yeah, I'm Vegeta, I'm charging up, blah blah blah, but the blast itself is instant, and the blast portion is where your opponent can actually do something, but because I did it right as his arm goes up, he is locked into that animation, at least for a split second. You can't actually vanish out of the start of your Key Blast card or your Key Blast bait. A lot of people don't know this. You need to have at least half of the animation gone, especially on the bait, before you can actually think of doing anything. If your arm is still up in the air, then you're locked into that until your arm comes down and the blast physically leaves your hand. So that's why I kind of press it right away. Even though the ball is in the air, the instant flash makes it so that he can't actually get out of it. Now, moving on to our type advantage. Now, the next 3 here, using type advantage, not getting baited, and using the bait, and using your kit, these kind of go without saying. But the main thing I want you guys to take away from it is that if you're running Saiyans, for example, with the Gogeta team, there's a lot of people who run, for example, 18 first, Super Vegeta first on the Super Vegeta, Bardock, Instant Transmission Goku team. You know, red counters yellow, so there's very, very little chance of fighting against someone with a blue character unless it's a Kamikolo or something like that. But I mean, against regeneration, you're going to crush them. There's absolutely no reason to be scared there. For the baits portion, I went in depth on this in the first video, but essentially, exact same thing. When you see the animations, react to them in the correct way. So if he's dashing forward and you don't have an exclamation point over your head, then guess what? That's not a strike card. You don't get baited by stuff like that. If you're going to be watching his arms for the key blast bait, well, guess what? You can hit him with the blast arts card. You can hit him with his strike card. You have all kinds of different ways to get around the baits, or you could literally just, you know, move to the side and not get hit. You can even eat it. It doesn't matter so long as you're not wasting your vanish and then getting beat up over it, right? And last thing that I want to talk about is using your kit. Now, in summary, you know, when you're looking at your team, and we went over the best teams in the last video, kind of think about what you're going to do in the matchup, right? So if you need to lock someone in, think about who that person is that you want to lock in. Think about what you want to be dodging with Goku, for example. You know, try to predict what the outcome of the match will be, and then respond appropriately and execute. With that said, guys, on the next video, I'm actually going to be looking at the release of the new units. So we have Boo, Gotenks, and the Burra. That we'll be having a look at how they affect the game. Obviously, Boo, a bigger deal, but I'm going to kind of go in depth into that into the next video, so that will be for Friday's video. Now, for our second question, what I'll do is I'll actually have you guys post down who you are most hyped for out of the 3 upcoming units, either Gotenks, the Burra, or Boo. Now, personally, it's going to be Boo for obvious reasons. I said in my last video, I wanted this unit to be a staple for the regeneration team, and so far, it looks perfect. So without further ado, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Make sure to subscribe. Comment below with the 2 answers if you want to be in for the giveaway, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.